Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm going to discuss some of the current events and relate it to basically the state of the world and what you can expect for humanity and the life of this world. So, I like to explain everything in relation to um, the center of the world economy, which there's many ways to say that something is the center of the world economy, and I'm going to choose to describe this area here at the east shore of the Mediterranean Sea, which is the White Sea. It's one of the 5 seas of the Middle East. I'm going to choose to say that this is the center of the world economy, and in history, they named this place here the cradle of civilization. And what did that mean? Civilization. And I used to write a lot of papers for Syria, and this is one of the last ones I wrote back in 2015. It was the meaning of the word civilization. And civilization, it means that you're supposed to be nice to each other and work together, and then you are building together, and then this like building and working together creates this like society, and then societies make economies, and economies are like the heights of humanity's power of life and living together. So I'm gonna choose to say that Syria, that this area here in the East Mediterranean is the center of the world economy, and I'm gonna say that because it is a crossroad from the far west to the far east, and I'm gonna try to explain like geographically and like help you understand the economy in a way that you would maybe start to feel that this is the center of the world economy. So um the one of the most important ideas about understanding the world economy is that the world is, and this is the way that you have always seen it, and even although they will say that the world is like this, they will say that the earth is going around like this, they will always put the map like this, and from the side to side, and saying that this is the equators and the so on and so on, and the poles. They'll show it to you like this, and they would never show it to you like this. But there's all kinds of like hidden Freemasonry symbolism here. Like this is the head of the pyramid, and it's this is the swastika, and this is the snake eating its tail. So these are different Freemason symbols, and the way that you should look at the world is from the direction that the people look at the world. Like the North will look at the world this way, and that's a way that you never see the world this way. So it is a great understanding that if you are to go this way, you will suddenly lose all of the land in the world, and you will find only water, for it would be as if you were on a different planet. And this is why all of our continents and all of us were over here on mostly on the other side. So that would mean that you would see this and you would just say, okay, this is the center. And then if you were to understand that the people here are always going to travel this way, they're going to travel this way, then you really are starting to understand that that is the center for the economy. And there is a secret history of the development of humanity, and that is that about 100 years ago, um, mankind developed this technology which would give him power that man had never known before, because man understood the power of a river and that it could move with the strength of 100 men. And they understood the power of the animals that could push stronger than a man. And they understood the limitations of power. They understood that in the history of the world, many men traveled this small ocean and never came back. And they would be lost. Many men lost, many people, and many human beings have lost their life just trying to travel. And now, with the technology of an engine, we have become fearless, we have become free, we have become so powerful, and we have been granted this incredible capacity for transportation. So the moment that it was understood that that engine was going to give them the power of hundreds of men, if not thousands of men, they said, why stop there? And they wanted to give themselves so people, human beings, wanted to be more powerful than hundreds of men. And then they wanted to be more powerful than thousands of men. And then there comes a day when the men want to be more powerful than 1,000,000 men. And there are men who feel that they have the right or that they have the privilege to control a city of 1,000,000 men. And now they even hire security forces and armies to enforce their ability to try to take power over millions of men. And so they got this great idea using this engine technology in 1950, and a number of businessmen from the Americas and decided to give money in order to make a race for technology, and for the power of the engine, a race to get the power of that engine. And they invested money into China, into the leadership of China. And China had a great ability to control the human life there in China, because they knew that they had a strong power base based on the idea that China has a tremendous amount of rivers. And if you come to any city in China, you will see these tremendously large rivers. And to show you the map of the rivers of China. So these are rivers in China, and you can see, and this is it, the rivers, each river, and these are very, very big, are even larger than that actually. They are just branching and branching and branching along every mighty arm, along all of these mighty arms. They will branch and continue. And so that's the power of the rivers in China, and that has given an ability for them to focalize a lot of life. There's something more that you need than rivers. I'm gonna try my best to incorporate that several ideas that I wanted to explain without forgetting or allowing or having it take a very, very long time. So the ability for the rivers in China is based on the idea of how rivers and how water is generated by the earth. So there is a lot of misleading teachings, and they're designed to help to cover over and to veil technology. And so I'm going to describe situations that are happening. Um, for example, at this time, United States is burning. They are burning down California using space lasers. So they have laser technology, and that's how far this power of this engine has got, and the corruption of these people to try to control millions of men because they have these technologies that have the power of millions of men. So then they think that they can use this to control millions of men. So I'm gonna describe how my country is on fire, it's burning down, and they've been using these weapons all over the world. I'm gonna try to go through that. And I want to help you understand that there are geological formations here. And the best way to start a comprehension of this is you'll just take a look at this absolutely fascinating geography. So this is something named the Himalayas, and like it's very exclusive kind of geography. There are a number of mountain ranges in the world, but there's nothing quite as large or as big of a chain and as extraordinary as the Himalayas. So we can say that the Himalayas are the biggest mountain range in the world. And what you will understand about the world is that the when you see like the green and the ice, it has a lot to do with if the ground it's down or if it's raised up. So the higher that the land is, that's where you're going to see that white or the snow is. So this is a defining feature. The elevations are where you see the white. And so it's very curious how in this geography, this is the mountain range, and you see that it's separated like yin and yang, like the green and the gold, like light and dark. So this is a geographical phenomenon. In the center is the mountain range, and on one side of the mountains, and the mountain was not equal, so on one side of the mountain is all of the green and all of the rivers. And you'll see on, if you understand the river map, the river map of India, that um, this will be the Himalaya mountains here, and there's India, and you'll understand about India's rivers. So about the rivers here is that there is the Himalaya mountains, and there is at his west side of the Himalaya mountains is this river. It comes down off the mountains, and it's called the Indus River. And the Indus River is Pakistan. And Pakistan is 2 times bigger than Russia. Pakistan is like rivals is in size to the United States. And it's Pakistan is like one of the most populated countries. And how could this be? We're going to show you geographically, and it is based on It's all of Pakistan and his life is based on this Indus River. And you'll see that all of the big populated cities are along this river, and that the river has created the ability for the population. It's allowed for such a big population, for so much life to be there. And if the river, if you didn't have a river, you will not see the population. And I'm gonna try my very best to get all this information in this one video and to show you, like, the world population is the most of the world is living, that's alive, is only in a few places. And when they said that we're like 8 billion people on this planet, that is a total lie. And that we're probably more like half that size. And that this is a big, disgusting game using weapons of technology against humanity. So the Himalayas have one river called the Brahmaputra, and it's in the plateau. And then it has another river on the other side of the mountain range, which is on the lower side, and that is the Ganges. And then India has these several rivers that come through the side of India, going from the west to the east and the east to the west. So we're going to understand about the populations is that they're all on the rivers. Every big center of life is on those rivers. The rivers allow life. And that all of the rivers were able to thrive, but this Brahmaputra, because it was in the plateau, it never thrived. And there's not a lot of life there, and there never will be. So returning to the geography. Here we are at the Himalayas, this extraordinary range. And what you see is that there was something that was happening in the earth. And then the earth was hotter in the bottom, and it was causing all of these chemical reactions. And these chemical reactions were just like reactions and chemicals and reactivity. And then chemicals were bonding, and chemicals were over here, and chemicals were bonding with the chemicals. And then there was chemicals over here, and these chemicals were bonding with chemicals. And then suddenly all of the green chemicals with all of the life in the water were on this side. And then all of the sand colored chemicals were on this side. But the water was there, and the water kept doing its watery chemical things. And then there was this raising of the mountains right in the center, and the mountains raised up just as high as they could go until the mountains' heads were in the atmosphere, and they are white. And then the chemical reactions were happening here, and the land was raising up and was becoming elevated. And then eventually all of the water was separating out, and there was all of these, you can see them, you can see how the blue, it's seated atop the brown, but there's no life there, and life is unable to thrive there. And if you go and look down at the land, you'll see that it's not a good place to live, because you can't travel it very well. It's very terrible for traveling. And even if you were to access this water and make your city and your everything, and then you would just be isolated anyway. So this is the terrain. This is what it looks like out on the plateau. And then over here, just come to the other side of the Himalaya, and suddenly it's like the land before time, and they're crossing into the Great Valley, and there you have it, rivers. So this extraordinary, like thousands and thousands of kilometers long, and then you'll see every major city along it. you'll understand about the populations of this area that there is a country here at the head of the Himalayas. There's a country here, and the country's name is Afghanistan. So here, those are the Himalayas there, and then you see there's this country here, and it's at the head of those Himalayas. And guess what? This is Afghanistan. And guess what? There's a river coming off the end of the mountain. And guess what? The people of Afghanistan all live there. And guess what? The biggest city is at the head of the river. Guess what? It's Kabul. It's got 4 million people, almost 5 million people. And guess what? It's right there. It's at the head of the river, the base of the mountain. And it's the biggest one. So, and then here is Pakistan. And guess what? There's a big river and it comes down off the head of the Himalayas. And guess what? It's every major city of Pakistan is there, and because of the size of the river, and we must look at it. Here is Pakistan. So there's Afghanistan. And you see that, so Kabul is the ruling power of this land here. It was able to control out this way. And Pakistan is this section only here. And you see how the river is straight down the center of it. And you ask, how is it that a country of Pakistan with 200 and nearly 40 million people was not able to economically dominate Afghanistan? And they're not having a say. It's because here the power base, the power is based on the river. And Kabul, because it was far enough away and big enough to hold power, Kabul is leveraging power down that river. So here are all of the biggest cities of Pakistan, which are Karachi with 16 million. So Karachi, so the biggest city in Pakistan is 16 million people. And there is, the second biggest city is Lahore with 11 million people. And what you'll understand about the population for Pakistan is that although those are the two biggest cities, this entire area has some of the biggest cities there, and that there's about 18 to 20 million people in this area here between these cities, and there's 16 million here. So that 16 million plus the Hyderabad, which is another couple million. So these are the base and the head are basically equal in size, and it just shows you that the river power of the Indus River has the power for 20 million people to live at either head of it, and that's its capacity. As big as the river is, as big as the population. So the Lahore had the 11 million, Faisalabad had 3 million, Rawalpindi has 2 million, Peshawar has 2 million, Multan has 2 million, and Islamabad has 2 million. And although you can see that the Google Earth is not populating the information, although I do have the map set to be on. It's probably because the bandwidth or the computer RAM is having difficulties, but it makes it very, very bad to understand. So there now it's finally populating Lahore, Faisalabad, Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Peshawar. That is 20 million. There they are, right there at the head of the Indus. And as we saw from that river map, that Indus River is just like many branches up at its head, and then it comes all the way down, and everybody lives along it. And that is a very mighty power of this Himalaya range is Pakistan, with a tremendous population and ability to wield economic power. And then, so it is very curious about these Himalayas. And then India, what we understood about India and its rivers was that India has rivers that come this way throughout the country, and then they have the big Ganges River here on the east side. The Ganges comes down from the Himalayas, and it empties out on this side here, and that the power of the river to make the population and the society economically powerful, it was so great that these people in India were able to make these big cities, and they were able to get power, economic power, and then they lost it here at the border where it's named Bangladesh. So now here at in the center and towards the outlet for the this Ganges River, there's this other place named Bangladesh, and it's got its own mega city there, which is the seat of power, Dhaka. And you can see it. Here's that big river and the Ganges, and then you see the Y, and then you see the biggest city, and then there it's outletting. And these are also, there's another big massive city. So the river gave such power to the people that these people became so powerful they were able to control this area of land, and no one, not even the power of India and his 1 billion trillion gazillion people, could stop the people of Bangladesh and the people of Dhaka from wielding this power. No one could take their power. They're Bangladesh. They're their own country. And so there you have it. There are limitations to the power. And the Ganges was too big for the power for men to control it, and it's divided the power into a whole nother country. The largest city, there's very large cities here along that Ganges, such as Delhi, and then there are, so the largest cities in India are there are two large cities named Ahmedabad and Chennai, and here's Chennai and Ahmedabad, I believe it's down in here, and those are very large cities, and they're situated there on those rivers. And then here's another one of the largest cities, Hyderabad, and here's one of the largest cities, Kolkata. Here's one of the largest cities, Lucknow. There's Ahmedabad. Here's one of the largest ones, Jaipur, and here's one of the largest ones, Mumbai. And so they're sort of along these rivers. And the power of India. So India has population of 12 million Mumbai, 11 million Delhi, 8 million Bangalore, 7 million Hyderabad, 6 million Ahmedabad, 5 million Chennai, 5 million Kolkata, 5 million Surat. And they have several 3 million person cities: Pune, Jaipur, Lucknow, Kanpur. And they have maybe 10 cities that are 2 million people, maybe 20 cities that are 1 million people. So this is what they're claiming to have. And mind you, that in one grandfather's generation, there is worldwide statistics being fed to us that like our grandfather has like 50 children, and that we've just had like this massive like 50-fold increase in one generation of population of the world. And it's not adding up whatsoever when you look at the numbers. And when you look at the largest cities in the world, it becomes very clear that they are allowing you to they're allowing this 8 billion world population to just reside in your mind as a figment of your imagination, because if in proportion, it's just not possible for that number of people to be able to thrive just like spread out in anywhere. So there will be the cities in the world with the largest populations are Tokyo, Japan, with nearly 40 million. New Delhi, India is one of them. It's 30 million. There's Shanghai, China, with 25 million. Sao Paulo, Brazil, 20 million. Mexico City, 20 million. Cairo, Egypt, 20 million. Mumbai, India, again, India, 20 million. Beijing, China, 20 million. Dhaka, Bangladesh, 20 million. Japan, 20 million. New York, 20 million. Karachi, 15 million. Buenos Aires, Argentina, 15 million. Then we're going to go to Chongqing, China, 15. Istanbul, Turkey, 15. Kolkata, India, 15. Manila, Philippines, 14. We're going to continue down lesser than like 13 million with Manila, Philippines, Lagos, Nigeria, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Tianjin, China, and Kinshasa, Congo. We're going to drop down to 10 million and hit Guangzhou, China, Los Angeles, USA, Moscow, Russia, Shenzhen, China, Lahore, Pakistan, Bangladesh, France, Paris, France. We're going to go to Bogota, Colombia, Jakarta, Indonesia. We're going to be hitting some of the ones I mentioned to you already in India again. Chennai, Lima, Peru, Bangkok, Thailand, and so on. Then we're going to drop down to 8 million, and we're going to be hitting cities like Chicago, Qingdao, China, once again, China, Wuhan, China, Nanjing, China, Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, Angola. We're going to hit Ahmedabad, India. We're going to hit Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Then we'll be back in China, in Hong Kong, in China again for Dongzhong, Hangzhou, Foshan, Shenyang. Then we're going to hit Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Baghdad, Iraq, Santiago, Chile, Surat, India, Harbin, China, Houston, USA, Dallas, USA, Toronto, Canada. Then we're going to drop down to 6 million. You're going to be seeing Belo Horizonte, Brazil, Singapore, Philadelphia of USA, Atlanta, USA, Fukushima, Japan. And then we're going to hit a couple things like Sudan, Barcelona, Spain, Johannesburg, St. Petersburg, Russia, some more cities in China, Washington, USA, Myanmar, Alexandria, Egypt, Jian, China, and Guadalajara, Mexico. Now, I'm telling you all of the biggest cities of the world. That right there was the world's biggest cities and the population. And I was able to run through the list where we had a lot of mega cities over 20 million, and we dropped down pretty fast. And what did you hear me keep saying? China, India, and United States. Is that not like seem like totally preposterous to you that like of the 8 billion gazillion people on this world that they're all in China, India, and USA? I mean, is this a joke? This is a joke. This is a total joke. Did you hear the names that I'm telling you? I'm telling you all of the biggest cities in the world, and I'm repeating names like United States, like China, like China and more China, like India. Oh, and that's it. And literally there's like no one else. Like all of the population of this 8 bazillion gajillion people are just like, like where are they? Like okay, if there's a billion bajillion people in the world, how come none of the biggest cities in the world are like anywhere else in like the world? Like there's not anywhere. So where's everybody? Where are all the people? They're liars. You're a total liar. There's not 8 billion people in this world. They dropped down really fast. They dropped, like, I've got a couple of handfuls of 20 million people cities, and then we're already dropping down to 15 million. And they never said, like, they're not saying any countries in the world. They're repeating China, India, and United States. And we've already uncovered some of these like really weird bogus claims about, saying that there's all these trillion gazillion people in India and China, and we're just not able to actually locate like where you put them. One thing that I will say about China, and you have to see this, is tremendously terrible, is that we'll go down into the cities of China and you'll see something that you've just never seen in your life. Like, this looks like the Death Star. This looks like you like build like this planet in like outer space, and like everyone's just living there because you drop down and every structure is a skyscraper. And these are spacious ones. These are very spacious skyscrapers here. This must be the nice district of town. But as I continue, what you'll understand about the cities of China is that they're going to be, there's going to be like skyscrapers upon skyscrapers, and they're going to be like wall to wall, so that you can't look out your window or door without seeing another skyscraper in your face, and you will not be looking at the sun rising or anything. And that, so they're just going to be like face to face. So this is where all the trillion bazillion trillion gillion people of the world of humanity are all living now, that we have this, and that we're so big and powerful now. And there you will see in China, and I'm not seeing it here. In here, I'm seeing it looks just like New York City, where you have like short, small suburban homes. But in many places, in most of these big cities of China, you will see that they will be very, very big, and just, it's very scary. I wish that it wasn't so difficult to be able to compile all of the information from 1,000 different places at once, and I could really show you, like, I really wanted everyone to be able to see the imagery of it, that it really is like skyscrapers up to the top. So in the last 50 years, mankind has learned how to make skyscrapers, and this was a technological phenomenon. So in order to make the building very, very like tall and big, iron did not work. And not only did iron not work in order to keep these buildings up and to be able to make big structures up, skyscrapers, the iron was unable to bear the load of the structure. So they generated a new type of material named steel. And then furthermore, they took this steel and they made, steel bars, and then they poured concrete stone rocks into it. So now they have steel reinforced concrete, and they are using this to create these mega structures. And then they learned this in the last 50 years. And then they proceeded to make these mega cities where these big structures were going to, people were going to live inside them, and then they were going to use them for like business. And so what you basically have is that people will walk into this structure, and then they will be walking up through this structure, and they will be living there and working there, and you know, in this, and it will be very expensive for them, and they will not be driving cars because it will be very expensive to just pay to live in a steel box to pay. And then they will be slaves. They will be made to just work and work and work and work, just so that they can go home to their prison cell of their slave life. And this was the brilliant idea of men like Donald Trump, who says that he's a real estate developer. So that's what they do. He's not some innocent poor boy. His father was probably Chinese and his mother was probably Russian. And then they are part of the Chinese Communist Party, and he's a real estate developer. So they're making these big structures, and then they're using them for things like that you would need to use. Like, what would you use a skyscraper for? What would you use them for? And so that's him. That's Donald Trump. He makes those things and then he uses them. And that's what they did in China in 1950. China was like rising, in skyscrapers. So this is essential understanding about our state of our world right now, is that they've got mega cities in China. I've been discussing this thoroughly in other videos. So they're using this as a power base for using all of the power of the machine making. So the power of the engine gave us the power to get the iron, more iron, lots and lots of iron, till we had mountains of iron that you've never seen this much iron out of that ground. Never. And then we used it and we were making like steel, and they're going to continue this way. They're going to continue to extract these natural resources that they have never been able to get this out of the ground before, and certainly not without putting their own back into the work, into the labor. And they're gonna build these things, and then they're gonna do things in them. Like, we've seen what they do, we know what they do. Here's the city of Wuhan, China. It's one of the biggest cities. You know what they do with those skyscrapers? We've seen it on television. And so the businessmen of China then, in order to allow them to leverage power over the world economy, because they were able to get economic power using these machines. They were able to get the labor strength needed to run the machines here. And then pretty soon they just started making it as much of just the machines only, and no people needed for this economic power, which is how they're doing shipping now, where they're going to carry all of these things for economic strength on ships. And they're going to make all of the ships here in Korea, Japan, China, and like one in Singapore. Like, these are the biggest shipbuilding, the biggest ships in the world, or they're all made right here. And in order to make like these ships, you need to have like big machine powers that are going to like these things up and move one part. And then you're going to have like these big, like, you're going to be like welding like blow torches, gigantic things. This is not something that a man can do. This is the power of machines. This took thousands of men. This is just millions of men's power in one ship, and that's what they think that they're going to use this power. So then they're shipping it, and they're shipping it all out through Singapore in order to send it out this way. And they do have some economic power bases here in India and some of these large cities. But these cities in India, as you kept hearing me say, China, 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 China. So the India, it does not seem to have the capacity to economically rival it. And apparently India is not mining the type of resources needed. What we have in China are skyscrapers with megacity power, and what we have in India is a lot of underdevelopment, more underdeveloped, and they're going to send it all out this way. So I am now, so this is the center of the world economy. It's all coming through. And it is exactly why that evil Nazi Netanyahu is trying to come this way. And those evil Nazis named El Sisi in Egypt have everything to do with this attack on Gaza. And this is their whole big economic plan. This is their whole plan, is to take that the world economy, it's for the people, it's humanity, and they want to control humanity, or they want to rob our power and sit on our necks. So it's very essential to understand about what's going on here at the center of the world economy. You need to understand where you stand in this world. And now I'm going to tell you even more about where you stand in this world, which is why I started to really get the stir the motivation to press this now on the lasers. So there are space lasers, and they are setting fires and starting earthquakes, and this has all been documented and witnessed. And if you understood the English language, or we can get the message out, then you'll start to realize that the Americans themselves know there's lasers, they're using them on us, they're lighting cities on fire. So there's big fires in Canada, or in California, and this happened before. So come over to California and talk about her for a minute. So here is California. So California is here, and here over there is China. So that's where we were. But if you came across this way at the top of the Pacific, there you would find California. So California is experiencing these crazy fires, and there is something so outrageous about these fires. These fires are going that the fires are going too fast. Fires, combustion of gas, combustion of trees do not occur at an accelerated rate. And every time you see fire and it's accelerated, there's an accelerant. And trees are not accelerants. They don't accelerate fires. Okay, so back in 2023, there was a big event that occurred, which showed us, there was several big events that showed us that something really crazy was going on. and that is there was a series of earthquakes. First, there was the 2020, and there was a series of last year, there was earthquakes that happened, and then there was like crazy megastorms. And we've seen these megastorms happen before. We've seen, remember in 2015 when in Saudi Arabia during the Hajj, when there was like this crazy storm that appeared on the weather radar, and then it knocked down a crane on top of Mecca, and like 800 people were crushed under this crane that fell down onto them because a wind burst knocked down the crane. And in that same year, when the people went to stone the shaitan, the prince came in and initiated a stampede, and then the people were killed, like 1,000 people were killed that year. And then Yemen was being fully attacked at this time. And there was like this big hurricane that came like ramrodding right towards like Yemen multiple times. There was like multiple hurricanes that kept slamming into them. And during those same times, there was like all of these big typhoons like devastating China. Remember how in the start of 2020, how um, there was all of this flooding in China, like this crazy, crazy flooding? Or remember last year when there was the earthquake in Morocco, and then there was the freak storms that happened and they flooded into Libya? So then there was in in Canada, there was like all of these fires across Canada, and like there was one place in Canada burning, and then there was another side of Canada burning, and then there was a center of Canada burning, and we caught it on the weather radar. And this guy is going to talk about it. He's going to say like, you're going to see it in these images, how like, and when you if you can see the actual weather radar instead of just like this clip of a cut, like this dramatized
all at once.
it's this dramatized like video clip of like, you know, like smash flash crash bash. What you saw it there, it was you would see that in the other, I think it's called infrared, that you would see just like all of these black dots, black, 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 black. And then you would see them just like uh, initiate. And I wish I could like give you so many more details and so much more information. But basically, this was such an incredible sight to see that you could actually visually see it happen here in Ontario, or no, in Quebec, happened in Quebec here. And you could just see like the whole area just like go up at once, and then you see him on the like the visual radar where you can see it like actual smoke, and it just like all ignites at the same time. And those all happened at wastewater lakes for oil and gas, because there is chemical byproducts, like there's chemical water that is a byproduct of gas. And what you don't understand is that Canada is the gas drilling basin for all of United States, and that is where we get all of our gas. And they have, it's basically like the heart pump, and then like they pump the gas through pipelines all throughout the United States, and it's like tremendously out of Canada. And so all of these wastewater lakes caught on fire, and I've done extensive videos and showing you and going through all of this. So in that same year, we were seeing all of these fires in California, and the people are losing their homes. The governor is telling people that they have to pay money, like taxes, if they try to leave California state and try to buy property or to rent property in another to leave, if they try to run from California, they get like charged taxes. It's insanity. And their houses are being burned down. And I'm going to show you another event that occurred, which was using these lasers. These are space lasers. And because the video, it just keeps on these websites, the video just keeps like playing, and it's really the only place to really get the info. I didn't get to show you another part of it where he shows you on that weather radar that there's literal laser beams on the radar. It's like a beam. It's a laser. It's a laser beam, and it's literally on the radar. And what we're suspecting with a lot of these like hotspot flare-ups is that there is a vertical laser, so it's coming from a vertical, and you can see if the laser comes across a long distance and it comes horizontally, but you don't usually see the laser if it's dropping down vertically. So then you'll just see like the hot spots, and they will use these to not only ignite the fires or to, obviously they were disrupting Canada's gas supplies. You think that it was only the wastewater lakes that were catching on fire. Everything went up in flames. The entire gas fields were going up in flames. And that's why the fire accelerates. So it has accelerants in it. So here's another one of them. This happened in Maui. So this would be in Hawaii. So they're between China and California. Here's Hawaii. And if it ever came to a fight between the United States and China over who is going to take control of Hawaii, I can tell you that Xi Jinping, if you empty out his pockets, you will find all of the United States politicians in his pockets. And secondly, China has like more ships and like more ships, and they're bigger than anything. So this happened that I'm gonna make it silent, that the CCP satellites capable of using laser weapons were over top of Hawaii on the times when different fires were breaking out. And what's more, and this guy is doing all kinds of research, which is in depth and very interesting and very thorough. But essentially, what happens is that it becomes so that you're gonna see white ashes, and that's what lasers do. It completely incinerates everything. And I wish that I was able to show you, easier and more clearly, but I'm the only one working on this, and no one is helping or supporting me in any way. So, including that I continue to be confronted and abused. So I'm not able to entirely, like, we have to move forward, and we got to move forward fast because they have a lot of power and they're doing bad things. But what you'll understand just basically just from this one easy little picture, and you'll see it again and again, is that this area, it got so hot. This area got hot and everything was burning inside this area, right? So, but this area, it didn't even get hot. Like it wasn't hot. So it's green, and it didn't get hot. It never got hot. It never got burnt. It never got hot, because this is white. Like that was someone's house. There was like wood, and there was like things. There was like refrigerators. There was all of these things and stuff. And the area was hot. Like, everything was like, burning and so on. But not there. So it's literally green. So how can you tell me that it's hot and it's like a fire, but then right here it's not hot? It's just not true. That's just absolutely total bogus maniac lies. If there's a fire, it's going to be hot here, and it's not. It's total ashes. This has been incinerated to white. It's beyond charcoal. It's incinerated. And that's green. And you'll see it again and again. Smoking gun. It didn't, you didn't have to be very, very smart. You just had to wake up. And if you don't wake up and you don't stop following all of the programming, and you don't do the right thing, and you don't start protecting humanity, and you don't start being a true human being, be a human being, get on the side of humanity, and you would have seen it, and you would have woke up, and you would have know, and you would know. And if you don't, then you're not going to know. You're not going to be able to wake up. You're not going to be able to know that there's a situation here, a real situation. So that was, I suppose I did my best, and I tried to do a really good job trying to like rope together this kind of, create this kind of understanding. And that was, I guess, the main purpose. The idea was to get you to understand that we are in the center of the world economy. So I want you to understand that. I want you to understand that we are in the center of the world economy. They have space lasers. They have engineered these mega structure cities for using power of machines. They have the power of millions of men, and we're at the center of the world economy, and they've got all of these mega weapons, and they're even starting to test out this crazy stuff. And more than that, we have other technologies that we're able to use. Like we're able to use like technology of knowledge of medicine, and we were able to unveil things like corona, and we were able to use different technologies. There are all kinds of intellectual people out there right now who are holding secret. They know it. They know, and they're looking around, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to wake everybody up and they don't know how to confront this situation. They don't know how to handle the situation. So they use those weapons. They've been killing a lot of people and hurting a lot of people. They tried to attack Libya in our faces, and they do it. They're using like a million different ways. I was hoping to start working on understanding more about drone technology and missile technology, because those are other weapons that they use. And they just recently they attacked the port of Hudayfa just using some simple fighter jets, which some of their old technology. And they're getting us again. That is the heart of Yemen's economy, and they're trying to keep us asleep. You know, they're pulling these moves. So Allahu Akbar, and allow humanity to stop these shaitan, because they created this like super crazy like end of the world like Armageddon craziness, because they knew that they were going to have to fight humanity, and they knew that humanity will win, and they knew that even if they got the power of a million men, that they still wouldn't be able to defeat humanity. Allahu Akbar.